Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 Formula 2 season for the penultimate round of the championship at the Jetta Street Circuit in Saudi Arabia. And the championship fight is getting very tense at this stage. There is really nothing in it between myself, Yuri Vips, Guan Yu Zhou, Oscar Piastri and a bunch of others still in contention. And mathematically I think the entire field is in contention. I think it's something like 65 points on offer for the weekend. In total, and the championship leader only has 115 points, that being Yuri Vips, who qualifies out of the top 10, so that's not good for the Estonian driver at this stage of the championship. Same with Oscar Piastri, also out of the top 10. They really will need to get a move on and make some overtakes over the course of the weekend and make sure they get into the points. But there you see the championship standings. Single digits separating the top four, and in theory you can include a bunch of others still in the championship fight. I'm not going to put a number on it given the chaoticness that tends to surround Formula 2 racing, but yeah, there are a lot of contenders still left, and we've put ourselves in a good position with pole position here, so yeah, let's just get into the race and try and maximize our points haul for this weekend, and we'll see what we can do.
Greetings and welcome to Jeddah for what promises to be a thrilling Formula 2 race. So let's examine the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, this has the potential to be very challenging for our young F2 drivers. We'll get a good chance to see which of them have been able to best capitalize on their time spent here in practice earlier this weekend. And like the other street circuits on the calendar, the lack of runoff is going to make sections of this track very punishing if the drivers get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid having to bring out the safety car this time around. As we await the start of another hugely anticipated Formula 2 race, I'm joined again by Davide Valsecchi. Davide, as a former GP2 champion, can we get some insight to what is running through these young drivers' heads as they sit out on the grid?
Ciao Alex, it's a pleasure to be here. There are nervy moments, there is no doubts about that. Mental strength is the key to remaining calm and focusing on the upcoming race. Formula 2 is so competitive and all of these drivers knows that they are going to be pushing each other all of the way. In this sport, you have to be able to control your nerves.
Alright, so here we are on the grid then for Sprint Race 1. Let's see how this goes. The strategy, very interesting. We're getting recommended the soft compound tires. Usually, in the sprint races, you get through the race on one set of the harder available compound, but it seems like the tire wear is so low here that the soft tires are actually faster, even though they'll be wearing a bit by the end. The medium tires will just be so slow through the first half of the race or more that it's just not worth running them. So this will compromise the rest of the weekend though if we run these tires, but everyone is, so I don't really want to go and do something different. So this is a very tricky decision we have to make here, if we go with the traditional strategy or go with everyone else. But I guess we'll just have to go with everyone else and just sort out the rest of the weekend later. But it's very weird. I generally don't know what the right choice is, but yeah, I think we're going to go with the softs. And if it's the wrong choice, then we will have to suffer in the final race when we don't really have any tires to put on the car. So that's what we're going to do. But yeah, apologies if you can hear the fan in the background. It is very hot, so yeah, that's a thing. But anyway, let's just get into the race now and go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the sprint race here in Jeddah, and it's a good start for us as we have a look towards the first corner down the inside, and we'll try and make a few places here, and we will move up into I think 9th position, so only gaining 1 place as we're shuffled out a little bit wide on the exit and we couldn't really find a way through, but gaining a place and up into 9th off the start. Now it's just about trying to find any gaps that we can. We've got a big gap in front of us. That's not the kind of gap that we're looking for though, so we'll see if we can close that up through the first sector as we now start to settle into a rhythm in this race and try and get a move on. We'll see if we can make some more overtakes as we do have a nice run here. Can we make a move down the inside of Felipe Drugovich? We will go for it, and we're so close to the back of David Beckman, but we will make the move nice and cleanly there on the Brazilian and get ahead of Felipe Drugovich. And here's a replay of that one, and that was a near miss to the back of Beckman, but we got the job done and move ourselves up into 8th position and into the points in this race. So that's a decent start as we are now struggling to get the line right through there. Still semi-learning this track. I know the layout by now, but still need to just get the rhythm and a bit more practice, I suppose. But nonetheless, we push on and we'll continue to try and push our way forwards in this race. The next car up ahead is David Beckman, so we'll see if we can overtake the German very, very soon, as we are now coming to the end of the first lap. So we'll see maybe if we can make a move on the next one. We're a bit far back now to go for a move into the final corner, I think, so maybe the first corner as we close up a lot here. If we can get a good exit, as we are trying to line it up out of the final corner in a good bit of slipstream, we may be able to make a move into the first corner. We're dropping a bit far back, but we're going to go for it down the inside into turn 1, and we get the job done on David Beckman. Have to leave a bit of space on the inside of turn 2, but job done, and we're up into 7th position as we begin the second lap of the race. Next up is Guan Yu Zhou, as we almost run into the back of the Chinese driver, and that was another near miss for us, and we get away with it thankfully. And Guan Yu Zhou will continue to apply the pressure to Enzo Fittipaldi ahead of him. So Guan Yu Zhou trying to move forwards in this race. He qualified quite well, so he'll be looking forward to the feature race where he may be on target to score some big points. But for us, we can just continue on and continue to try and hurry along with Guan Yu Zhou, and it looks like we're going to go for the move down the inside into turn 1, and we go for it, and we'll get the move done on Zhou. He's still on the right hand side though. We get a lot of understeer through turn 2, and we only just avoid the wall. Guan Yu Zhou gets back through, and the switch from left to right there was not a good one for us, and we drop back in behind Guan Yu Zhou. Continuing on again then, and now Guan Yu Zhou is caught up to Fittipaldi right on the back of him, and he's got the DRS open as we head along the main straight. Schwartzman going fast at the moment. I think he is in the lead. Zhou now to the outside of Fittipaldi. He's going to try and get the job done here through turns 1 and 2. Enzo Fittipaldi though is doing a decent job trying to hold on. He's still got the car alongside as they now run side by side before the next sequence of corners. Now around the outside goes Guan Yu Zhou once again, and this time I think he'll get the job done, and he does. Guan Yu Zhou now up into 5th position, and Fittipaldi down to 6th, and now we have a free shot at the Brazilian. So let's see what we can do as we try and line up a move out of the final corner, switching from right to left to try and get a straighter exit, and we do. It makes a decent exit for us, and now with the DRS open right under the rear wing of Enzo Fittipaldi, we're going to look to the right hand side as Fittipaldi defends late on the brakes, and we will get the job done. Fittipaldi though fights all the way to the apex, but we will get through and move ourselves up into 6th position, right behind Guan Yu Zhou, our championship rival, who I think we are tied on points with at the moment, heading into this one. I think we're both on 114, 1 point behind Vips, so it is all very, very close at the top of the table. So it's going to be interesting as we continue on. Let's see if we can get this job done and get ahead of Zhou to take the lead of the championship fully, as Vips is still out of the points. It is the fastest lap for us, which means we'll equal Zhou on points scoring for this race, and will remain tied in the championship. But for now, we just can't get the job done and make the overtake. And we're running out of time. You'll notice in the top left we're speeding through this race. We're now on lap 100. We're now on lap 17. We definitely haven't done 100 laps. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, let's continue on pushing Guan Yu Zhou through turn 2 there, and really trying to get a move on now, but we just haven't been able to make a move because Zhou's always got the DRS. We try and get up the inside and we just can't quite get there, and Zhou holds on once again, and we have to slot in behind once again and drop back into 6th position. And that's kind of been the pattern. Anytime we've thought about making a move, we just can never quite get there, and Guan Yu Zhou's always got enough of an advantage with the DRS that we just can't fully get a good run and go for the move on Guan Yu Zhou. So he's done a very good job in this one, as Guilherme Samaya retires from the race with a mechanical failure, and he is out of sprint race 1 in the Shrews car there, pulling off into the runoff area. But we continue on, and you can see towards the end of the race, Guan Yu Zhou actually got away from us, and we've been falling away towards the end now on the final lap of the race. We pushed as hard as we could, but at the end of the day, we just didn't quite have enough for Guan Yu Zhou. Race win goes to Robert Schwartzman as we come towards the finish line to finish in 6th position.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
We will take the lead of the championship with this, but we have to share it with Guan Yu Zhou for the time being. So let's hope we can fix that in sprint race 2.
A great win then for the Prema team today. So, Davide, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
This race, this win, was about one thing and one thing only: consistency. Anyone can be quick for just one lap, but there's a difference between that and being quick every lap, over and over and over. If you can do that, if you can gain ground when your opponents make mistakes, but then not make mistakes on your own, you can just push and push.
As we look back on a thrilling race here today, we can now see the drivers take their places on the podium. It's a familiar sight by now, as it's another successful F2 win for Prema.
So Robert Schwartzman wins sprint race 1 in Saudi Arabia. 2nd place goes to Marcus Armstrong, with Bent Viscal in 3rd.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Jack Aitken takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after that excellent result. On to the teams then. After all this drama, you'll be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you there. Take care.
So there is still nothing in it at the top of the table. Still the top, 5 or 6 within a race worth of points. So yeah, it's a very, very close fight for the championship lead. But we do take it alongside Guan Yu Zhou, as I mentioned, so we are now in prime position. And we will start ahead of Guan Yu Zhou by 1 position in this race, so in sprint race 2. So hopefully we will be able to maintain that and keep that position. But yeah, it was really tough to overtake around this circuit. Once the DRS trains formed, I just could not find a way past Guan Yu Zhou. And towards the end, I think the tyres were wearing out, which probably also played a part. Maybe pushing a bit hard at the start and running out of tyres towards the end was one of the causes of that, because we were making moves at the start of the race, but yeah, it's sort of ran out of steam at the end there. But anyway, we still made progress and moved up from starting in 10th up to 6th where we finished. So certainly not a bad race, and it gives us a decent starting position for the next one. I think we'll be starting in 5th with the reverse top 10, I believe it is. So yeah, it isn't bad, and like I said, we'll be starting ahead of Guan Yu Zhou in sprint race 2. So that is good, and that is the race that will probably count the most for us. If we can get a decent haul of points over our rivals in the 2nd sprint race, then we will be in a great position to fight in the feature race to hopefully give us a big championship lead starting on pole in the feature race. So yeah, hopefully if we can make the most of those 2 races left in the weekend, that is how we can go into the finale with a points buffer. But it's going to be Dan Ticktum on reverse grid pole, so that'll be tricky. He's very, very quick, along with Felipe Drogovic, who'll be starting in 2nd. So yeah, we'll have some quick guys at the front that we will need to be chasing down as well. So yeah, I don't expect race 2 to be any easier, but let's just get into it and find out for sure as we head into sprint race 2.
Hello and welcome to the Jetta Street Circuit, where the excitement is building for what I'm sure will be an exciting Formula 2 race here in Saudi Arabia.
Alright, so here we are on the grid for sprint race 2, and once again we are greeted with the same strategy options. And it's a mixed bag this time. Some people are going to go for the soft, some people are going to go for the mediums. So in this case we are going to go with the medium tyres, otherwise we won't have any soft tyres left for the feature race. So yeah, we will potentially be a little bit slow, but we'll find out as we now go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for sprint race 2. It's a good start for us. Despite being on the medium compound tyres, we are able to get one of the better starts of the top flight of cars. But Guan Yu Zhou managed to get through as we're a bit slow through the first chicane, and now we're side by side with Zhou. This has not gone to plan, and Zhou gets through as we're very slow on the exit, and now we might be losing another position. We're late on the brakes, and we do manage to stay ahead of Ben Viscal, who was trying to make the move on us. He's on the soft compound tyres, so he will be very, very quick at the start of the race and potentially falling away towards the end, as there's all kinds of chaos up ahead, as there are cars potentially trying to go 3 wide. Guan Yu Zhou looking for a move, moving left and right, and he just cannot find a way past the cars that are battling up the road. That's Enzo Fittipaldi there that Guan Yu Zhou is trying to go around the outside of. Is he going to get there? Not quite, and slots in behind Enzo Fittipaldi, but Guan Yu Zhou is having a good try there, but no way through for the Chinese driver. So let's see if we can potentially try and make the move. Enzo Fittipaldi was one of the cars we did manage to overtake in the previous race, so hopefully that means we can do it again. But we've got to watch out because Jane Aruvla and Ben Viscal behind looking very, very quick on their soft compound tyres, so we don't want to do anything too crazy or we'll be under pressure from them. We already are, as Darubal is pushing us on the exit there as we went a bit deep into the left-hander there in the middle sector, and thankfully we were able to hold on. But Darubala is the biggest threat to us at the moment as we head into the final corner, and in a moment we will complete the first lap in 6th position. So not a horrible start. We only dropped 1 spot in the end, but yeah, as you can see as we continue on, we still are having trouble overtaking Guan Yu Zhou. We have a big loss in the back end there, and that's going to leave us exposed to the Rubla, and this might actually be quite tricky to defend, but we managed to do so as we move on, and we are still in 6th position. So we continue to push on. We're going to try and carry a bit more speed around the outside of the bank corner, but that doesn't really work, and we get a good exit, but again there's just no way around the outside there, and we just don't have enough presence on that occasion to drive all the way around the outside. We just didn't quite have the momentum for it.
P6, Joe ahead. The gap is less than a second. They're on fresh mediums. Darubala is behind you. Less than a second separate you. They're on old softs. The distance to the leader is 3.2 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 11 laps to go.
And yeah, 11 laps to go, so we're almost halfway through this race, and we haven't made any progress. So this is very concerning, as Robert Schwartzman is out of the race with a mechanical failure. Not good for him. He's been trying to find his way back into the championship fight, and that sprint race win would have definitely helped, but he was running out of the points in this race, and that retirement will not do him any favours. We continue now to put pressure on Guan Yu Zhou into the banking, but we just can't find a way past. We get a decent exit here, and we have a look to the outside, but Guan Yu Zhou with the inside line is always going to hold on to the position there, and we just don't have any way through on Guan Yu Zhou as we get a good exit here once again, but we just don't have anywhere to go. There's no sort of passing places there. As wide as the track is, the sort of awkward nature of it as it weaves left and right, we just don't have a way through on Guan Yu Zhou. So yeah, we have to just continue to follow through and hope eventually that he maybe makes a mistake, or that we get a good run at some point. So as we continue to push on, a big mistake there heading into the right-hander, and unfortunately that is actually all I've got to show for this race. So basically what happened is, because I record on straight from the Xbox onto a USB, I can only record in 1 hour blocks, and for some reason one of those files went missing, and I don't know when, where, or why it happened, but the fact is I don't have the footage for the rest of this race or the start of the next one. But thankfully I did manage to salvage the race results themselves just by calculating them from the championship standings after the next race, after the feature race, and a bit of subtraction of the points there, and I was able to calculate the results of this one. And it was Dan Ticktum who won, scoring 15 points, Felipe Drugovich second, David Beckman third, Fittipaldi fourth, Joe, myself, Viscal, and Daruvula in eighth, scoring 1 point there. So the only thing that changed from that last clip of the race is that we got the fastest lap, and yeah, that's it. So yeah, that is the race results. As for the championship standings, we maintain the lead, still tied with Guan Yu Zhou. We're both now on 126 points. Yuri Vips holds third. Piastri, Armstrong, Fittipaldi, Ticktum, Sato, Viscal, and Drugovich moves himself up into the top 10. So yeah, I managed to put those together, but yeah, unfortunately I don't have any footage for the rest of that race. And as I mentioned, we also lost the start of the feature race, but I did manage to grab a couple of replay cameras from the start, so hopefully we're not missing too much there. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know why it's happened, but let's just move on to the feature race and get this video restarted. So here we are on the grid then, lining up for the feature race. 5 red lights are on, and it's lights out, and away we go for the feature race here in Saudi Arabia. It's a bad start for Dan Ticktum. We got away well from the front row. Guan Yu Zhou maybe trying to take second position here with Beckman in the middle, trying to make it work. Guan Yu Zhou almost off the road there, and Beckman gets through. Dan Ticktum is down into 4th position. Disaster start for the British driver as Guan Yu Zhou and David Beckman continue to fight through the first sector. It's going to be Zhou round the outside. Can he get through on David Beckman, the German, trying to hold on to a great qualifying position, an even better start, but Guan Yu Zhou is fighting hard, still trying to make the move stick, but Beckman is going to hold on and get through. Great stuff, David Beckman, and he puts himself up into 2nd position off the start, as we have a massive lead now, as those two are fighting so hard behind, and there's potentially more overtakes going on in the background. They all slot into single file before the banked corner, but it's been a good start. But as we continue on through this race, we actually had a bit of contact with the wall there. I don't actually know exactly what caused that. I don't exactly remember what happened, but nonetheless, that actually gave us a puncture, and we are now struggling in this race as we make a bit of contact there with, I think that was Bent Viscal and maybe more, with a couple of other cars as they fight their way through. We're just trying to stick to the edge of the road, trying to keep this thing in the straight line, but the front left tyre is punctured, so it's impossible to control this car as there's another car they get through. But yeah, this is a disaster for our race as we have now tumbled down the order into near last position, and we're just struggling to get the car back into pit lane. You can see the front left tyre there flapping all over the place through the left-hander, but it was just the contact with the wall that punctured the tyre, as I think that was Ralph Boschum looking left and right to try and get past us as we sort of blocked him off there. So sorry about that, Ralph, that was a bit rude. But yeah, that was a disastrous moment in our weekend. You can see no front wing on our car now, as Robert Schwartzman is also in the pit lane. So Robert Schwartzman has had another disaster in this one, and he is also in the lane. So that's unfortunate for Robert Schwartzman, and his title hopes are slipping further and further away. So that is tough luck for the Prema driver. But yeah, we get out of pits finally with a new front wing on the car and a new set of tyres. But we're only on lap 5 now, so that won't count as our compulsory pit stop. And to be honest, I don't know if I realised that at the time, and actually don't know what tyres we started the race on. There's a replay of what happened, just grazing the wall. I don't know if that was just a lapse of concentration or what, but nonetheless, that is what went wrong for us. And after we had the puncture, we were just along for the ride. There's the contact with a couple of cars, I think, there. But in retrospect, I probably should have just stayed off in the runoff area there and not tried to get back onto the road. But I was just desperate to try and keep this race alive. But yeah, that's unfortunate the way this one has unraveled itself. But we go back on board, and you notice now we have the recording once again, and we are back to regular cameras rather than the couple of replay cameras I had there. So now on lap number 8 in this race, and down in effectively last position, we are ahead of Jetta, who has retired with a mechanical failure. That's the only thing I didn't have any angles of, unfortunately. But yeah, he is out of the race, but he's not going to play a huge part in the championship. I don't think he's even in top 14 from what I recall. But anyway, we continue to push on, and we'll see what we can do in the rest of this race. Maybe there's a slim chance of some back-end points, but it's going to be tough. We are.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our strategy.
We are very rapidly catching up to Robert Schwartzman, so I don't know if he has an issue still in that car. Maybe still got some damage to the floor or the side pods. But after replacing, I think he replaced the front wing. I think surely he must have, because he was stationary in the pits for a while. So yeah, he definitely has something wrong, because we are catching him so quick. So yeah, I think Schwartzman has definitely got some damage to that car as we go around the outside of the final corner, and we get through fairly easily. That said, Schwartzman, I think, will have the DRS advantage here as we head along the main straight. So Schwartzman will be trying to make the move back around the outside as we head towards turn 1, but we're going to be later on the brakes on the inside line, and we'll maintain the position ahead of Robert Schwartzman and book 20th position. And
Sato is ahead of you. The gap to the car ahead is 4.2 seconds.
And now we make that 4.2 second gap to Sato disappear as we head now through the banking, and we get a good exit, and we'll get the move done on Sato. I think he's being held up by David Beckman, who I think has an issue. He's fallen a long way in this race, has David Beckman. Remember, he was fighting Joe for second position, so yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but maybe he was caught up when we had our little moment with the puncture. But
You're sat in P18. P18. Beauchamp is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 9.0 seconds.
as we continue on, then we will continue to find places as everyone else makes their pit stops. Remember, we have one more to make though, so our track position isn't really super relevant. We just want to try and push on and get as far up the field as we can before we make our final stop. But I think I didn't actually realize that that first pit stop didn't count. I don't think I kind of clicked at the time that we pit too early, so I'm going to be racing as if this is all for position, but in reality it's not. And if I didn't sort of recognize that at the time, I would have done things a bit differently. So yeah, that's unfortunate that I can see that in retrospect. But anyway, as I'm saying all that, we make a nice move on Ralph Boschung as Piastri got past him. Boschung got a bad exit out of the banking and we're able to get through. And Juri Vips is out. Juri Vips, the Estonian driver, championship contender, is out of the race. He's going slowly with a mechanical issue and he pulls up and out goes Juri Vips. What a disaster for him. And that eases the title pressure, if only very slightly, because we still have Guan Yu Zhou, Oscar Piastri, and everyone else still to worry about. Speaking of Piastri though, we make the move around the outside of the Australian driver, but we're going too deep, and Piastri is going to be able to come back through as we have to let him go. We're not going to make the move after going and cutting the corner like that, and Piastri maintains the position, and we have to slot in behind the Prema driver once again as we drop in now to 10th position. So in decent track position at the moment, not great, but not bad either, we could say. But that is Guilherme Samaya going up the inside. We get a nice switch back on Samaya, and now we are going to try and make the move back on the Brazilian as we have a look to the right hand side as we head along the straight. And now late on the race we will get back ahead of Guilherme Samaya and retain 8th position as it is now, as more pit stops have been made. So we're back into the points. So at this point, feeling pretty good. Samaya gets back through, but this time we make a super late apex, even more so than last time. Gives us a great exit versus Samaya with the DRS help. We're going to blaze straight back past the Brazilian on the right hand side, and we should be able to get this move done relatively easily into the first corner. And around the outside we go, inside of turn 2, and it's job done, and we're back up into 8th position and still scoring a point in this race. We do have the fastest lap, which is good for us as well. But continuing on, this time Samaya's got the run, now heading towards the first corner. He gets down the inside, and we can't fight back from that. He's got the job done, and Samaya is through and up into 8th position. We try and fight back, but we just don't have the grip for it at this point, and Samaya is well clear of us now as we continue on now. And as we start the penultimate lap, here is when I realized that I made a mistake with the strategy and we still have to make another pit stop. And that's all that fighting with Samaya was basically for nothing, because we're going to drop down the order anyway. So fast forward to the end of that lap and we're into the lane again for another pit stop. And it's a shame because we did basically a whole feature race on those tyres, and they were fine. These tyres are golden. There's nothing wrong with them. I mean, they're wearing out, but nothing too crazy. So we easily could have made it to the end. But anyway, we put another set of tyres on the car and get moving again. But yeah, if I knew we had to make the stop, I obviously would have done it a little bit earlier. But
we want to finish the race on this compound.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think what happened is these tyres that we're on, these are the ones we used in Sprint Race 1.
This is your final lap of the race.
These are the tyres set specifically for the feature race. The tyres that we were on were our qualifying tyres. So I think that's where the kind of mix-up was, is the game automatically fits the tyres with the lowest wear, not the specific set, correct for the race. So that was part of it, but also I think obviously we pit too early as well. So I think there was two different parts to the problem here, but nonetheless it's a frustrating one, and yeah, drops us down into 17th. Meanwhile, up ahead, Dan Ticktum wins again in Formula 2, the feature race this time, and that's a huge bank of points for him heading into the finale. That'll put him in pretty good stead, I think, in the standings as we come now around the final corner, and it's going to be a very disappointing 17th place finish for us, and not much to show for having some decent pace early on in this race.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
But I honestly still don't know what caused that mistake at the start that gave us the puncture and the damage in the first place. I can only imagine I just lost concentration for a second and just drove into the wall. I don't know.
Brilliant stuff from Carlin today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Davide, what was the key to this success?
The difference was in the strategy. Credit to the driver for sure, but races like this really drive home how much of a team sport this is. They did a lot of work on the pit wall to really make the most of each stint and to make the best use of these tires. But that said, all of that would have been for nothing without a talented hand on the wheel.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raised some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Carlin have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance.
So Dan Ticktum wins the feature race here in Saudi Arabia. Second place goes to Marcus Armstrong with Felipe Drugovich in third.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. And here's how things are shaping up in the Teams Championship. Uni Virtuosi have extended their lead at the top of the standings. Another team that excelled today was Dams, who make further progress up the table. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you there. Take care.
Well, that brings an end to a weird Saudi Arabia Formula 2 weekend. But anyway, that's yeah, it's been very strange. I don't know what happened to Guan Yu Zhou in that race. He didn't score points either, so I don't know if he had some kind of issue at some point, or if I missed something there. But anyway, as you can see on the championship standings, and kind of as I mentioned earlier on, with 65 points on offer for each weekend, we head into the finale with, mathematically, 11 title contenders. That's half the field still in contention heading into the season finale. Now realistically, of course, not all of them have a real chance. I mean, if you're 60 something points behind, it's very, very, very unlikely that you can come away with a championship win, but still possible, so you have to include them technically. But realistically, I'd say there's about 7. I think Enzo Fittipaldi is in 7th position, 19 points behind. He's definitely still in contention. He's been very good over the course of the year, very consistent. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the final round goes. It's going to be near on impossible to keep track of all the possible finishing orders and what any given driver needs to do to win the championship over the course of the weekend. So I think we'll just focus on ourselves and try and have the best weekend we can, and hopefully it's enough to win the championship. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting season finale, that's for sure. With so many people in contention, it's really anyone's guess who is going to come out on top. It's been such a close season over the entire thing, between so many drivers going up and dropping down the order multiple times over the course of the season. Only 8 rounds, but it has been a very interesting 8 rounds nonetheless. But yeah, I don't even know what to say about this episode. Apologies for the kind of muddled up nature of it, but these things happen with technology sometimes. So yeah, hopefully there's nothing goes wrong with the next one. But yeah, these things happen from time to time. But yeah, other than that, then I don't think there is really anything else left to cover. So I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end and sitting through all the issues we had throughout this episode. But nonetheless, that brings this to an end. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Oh, it's hot in here.